But okay, so I guess to start off real quick, for the probate list, would you go through PropStream or would you just pull it off of the government list? Because I mean, I know people have been talking about that, but in your opinion, what's the best?
So it all comes down to how much stamina and time you have. So you'll never beat the county list from the courthouse because
Okay.
that's where all information disseminates from. So
Mhm.
if it's not too much and you can get it, it's going to give you the most accurate information. The only advantage of that one is you usually get it before anybody else does.
Okay.
When you
Yeah, it
go
was
through,
hard to find, but I figured it
yeah, I
out.
know it's a pain in the ass, but if you do the pre-probate option in PropStream,
Hmm.
it it works well. It's more of a shotgun approach because remember, every
Hmm.
property in probate doesn't actually go through probate. So the pre-probate just pulls people with a death certificate
Hmm.
and a cross reference that they own a property through the property appraiser site. The value of that is a lot of those properties never even make it to probate because they're in trust, or they didn't qualify for probates. It depends on the laws in like each state. So the pre-probate can catch those. I don't pull the pre-probate every month. So
Okay.
we do it every quarter. We used to do it twice a year, and we're kind of always toggling between the both because we catch a lot of people that we wouldn't have got before. But it's a really efficient way to do it for like a single operator,
Hmm.
because some people don't have time to go to the courthouse and do all that stuff. The courthouse, you're never going to be able to beat that. So
Yeah.
in your case, I'd probably pick the courthouse strategy and then maybe 2 or 3 times a year pull the pre-probate and just do it however you're going to do. I wouldn't pull it every month because it's not updated enough to make it worth your while to do that. The same thing with the
Okay.
vacants. I only we do the vacants once a quarter. It's
Okay.
the same thing. Like 80% of the list is the exact same. So you're wasting.
Yeah.
So you get 10,000 leads. So I don't want to waste it. Guys, you got to understand when I started in this business, I used to work on like $100 budget to pull lists. It was brutal, man. I would go down to the county records, I would pull them, and then I would hire some Excel spreadsheet guy, which charged me a fortune to do macro and pivot tables and all the crap I didn't understand. And that's how I sorted the data. That's why you have all these software companies, not because of me, because most people don't want to go through that much crap to do it because it can cost you $500 to $1,000 like to sort these lists. But once you did it once, you could figure it out. I just at one point, I tried to do a software company and I saw the cost. And after a year, I said, this is absolutely nuts. I am not, that's a full time job. I don't want to do it. So, courthouse is going to be the best information. And then maybe you do the pre probates once a quarter or a minimum twice a year. And I think you'll be fine. And that's going to cover your entire gamut for probates. The challenge with probates is you go, okay, I got this one county mastered. And then you start adding other counties. It's
Hmm.
really hard to scale. It's
Okay.
hard because there's a different process for every county, and it's like I don't understand in the same state. So we deal with 5 counties in my area.
Mhm.
3 of them are so brutal. Like I have to pay so much money for an employee to sort the information. It just drives me nuts. And then the other 2, they're like a piece of cake. We get them online. It's simple. So I could do them myself. The other 3, I would never even try to do it. Me and Zach would never even touch it. It's just too time consuming. So the
Okay.
bottom line is you have to sort out like how crazy do you want to drive yourself? And you have to pick. Okay. The better accurate information and the timely, I like to get to the probates first, and you'll never beat the court system. I'm telling you why I like the pre-probate because it covers stuff that you normally wouldn't even find on the docket at the probate courthouse. So it does have some value,
Okay.
but they're far from perfect. But keep in mind too, it's hard to screw up a death certificate, though. Like that's a very permanent record.
Mhm.
Like it's not nobody screws that part up. Now, I've had people in there, they have a death certificate and they don't own a property. So that's a little frustrating sometimes with it, but for the most part, it's about 95% accurate.
Okay. And then a couple of the next two questions are going to concern money, which you kind of already answered with the, hard lending stuff like that. I might be able to ask a friend.
Okay.
The earnest money, I guess, if it comes down to I go with you for a JV deal, would because I mean I don't really have $1,000 to put down for earnest money right now. I'm definitely obviously as soon as I can get my first deal, I'm always gonna have that and make sure I have it. But at the moment for my first deal, I mean, would if I went with you to do a JV deal, would you be able to do that or no, not really?
Yeah, hold on. I did a coffee mess here. I didn't put the floor on, so I'm dancing between this.
Oh, no problem.
course. Whatever. Shit. Hold on. I got to prop the table up so it doesn't come over here. So your concern is
Yeah, just the earnest money deposit. Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
I mean, again, like my friend is most likely more than happy to help me out.
Yeah.
I just kind of like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
So, listen, I'm going to be honest. When I first started out this business, I didn't even do deposits.
Okay.
A highly motivated seller just wants you to buy the property. Like people who get obsessed with deposits, it's like it's like a baked in disease. So like sometimes like because when I used to talk about I'll leave a $10 deposit, they're like, what's the point? Just buy it. I'm like,
yeah.
The only the real validation for earnest money is to keep them in contract because here's what happens: their neighbor will go, "Oh, he didn't leave a deposit. They're a scammer." They're like, he doesn't have the ability to buy the property. I'm like, okay, if I leave a $10 deposit, a $100 deposit, or a $500 deposit, how does that qualify me to technically buy the house if you really want to get down to it, right? Does it really make a difference? So unless you make earnest money deposit a major issue, don't make it. Like the first 2 years, I don't think I left one deposit. Not one. I didn't have the money. I didn't know what to do. Number two, another way around it is you usually have an inspection period built into it. So if you have somewhere between, the lightest inspection you'll ever do is 7 days. Like you never do less than 7. Ideally, it's 30 or more if you can. And you can make the earnest money. You can make it go live after the inspection period. So technically, you can get the EMD from your cash buyer. So, guys, it's how you word the conversations. The problem is you let traditional people in real estate, we need an earnest money deposit. It's ridiculous. I get it, like in a wholesaling, because a lot of people have abused it for us. Like they don't leave any money and they never close and they never communicate. So just be responsible. Like if you can't make the deal work, get out of it like before the end of the inspection period or try to renegotiate it. But that's the challenge you have to do. So don't let the EMD tie you up. It's like easy. And honestly, if you got a smoking deal where you're going to make 20, 30 grand and like you don't have an EMD, if you can show it to me, I'll send it. I don't care. Like it's stupid. The money just sits in escrow. The homeowner doesn't get it. So it's it's such a freaking waste of money.
That's kind of what I was thinking. But
And so like, but realtors really push that, like the whole NAR thing, like gotta have a deposit to make sure they're real. Do you think a $500 deposit is going to like make someone stick around? It's really not a lot of money anyway. So it's realtors like, you gotta leave 10%. I'm not leaving 10%. I'm in the process of buying something right now, and unfortunately I deal with a realtor like, you got to leave $100,000. I go, I left you a $50,000 deposit. Well, 100 seems more serious. I go, what's the difference? I still got to finance the other $1 million of this thing going on. You guys are tripping over nickels. This is stupid. And like, I had to finally just bypass her and go to the seller. He's like, no, I'm fine with it. I'm like, you really think I'm going to walk away from $50,000? Like, it's the same thing. So use that strategy. It works every time. And then the idea is if you get in like, I tell you, I got in a few jams where I had like smoking money on the line. You will find them. Like she goes, you got 24 hours to give a deposit. I'm like, okay, just go get it. I don't care. Go work like a night shift doing something, like figure it out, because you're never losing your earnest money deposit. So it's never at risk. So you just have to put it somewhere. And even if you have to borrow someone, then go replace it with your cash buyer. Whenever your cash buyer comes in, your earnest money should be substituted during that time. So when you do an assignment, a contract, if you had a $500 deposit, part of the assignment, you can write it in there, is they transfer over the $500, and that way you can get your 500 back right away, and you can use it for other properties and keep moving down the line.
Okay. Yeah. And honestly, the only time that's really, stopped me is because the seller did not want me to have any kind of inspection period whatsoever, but still wanted me to put down $1,000 in earnest money, which I honestly just passed on that deal. I don't know. It's probably something I could have done.
Listen, even the best deals, you got to kind of go, okay, sometimes I walk away with such good deals. I'm like, okay, what is the seller hiding from me? Like I get this like anxiety of like, that was too easy. And like a lot of times we come up, we helped the guy out yesterday. He goes, I got a smoking deal. And my son goes, it just, honestly, it's a little too easy. I think you got a major issue. He went to the property, the whole foundation was cracked and sinking in. I'm like, dude, it's not solvable. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, it's $100,000 fix to, like, you got to drill under there. They got to put pilings. Like, it's honestly, you probably just condemn the house and move on. And then
Okay.
they found out like 5 or 6 other wholesalers went through the property. And sometimes if it's too easy, so my brief football experience when I used to play, I played nose tackle for a short time. God, I got killed. I wasn't big enough. As my coach used to say, if you let you in the line real quick,
Yeah.
be very wary because something bad's coming. So usually a tackle's pulling from the side, and you get to like, oh, there's the quarterback, and then a 250-pound like grown man runs you over, and you're like, so then when you would lean in, like you learned, like if you nobody blocked you, it means it's coming from the left or the right. It's the same
Yeah.
thing in real estate. If somebody lets you in really easy, listen, cross your fingers that deal works out, but you have the due diligence to understand that seemed a little too easy. I'm going to go ahead and put it under contract, but once I have it under contract, then I'm going to kick the hell out of the tires. And you've got
Hmm.
anybody who doesn't want to give you an inspection period, it's just weird.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
why
honestly
are
exact.
you
Like everything you were just talking about, exactly is how that went. Honestly, he gave me way
right?
too easy of a price, and yeah,
Yeah, I go,
yeah,
listen, I got to check it out. And then honestly, when they tell me everything's perfect, or they tell me everything's perfect and I know it's not, I see roof leaks, the AC's rusted, and it's like 85 degrees in there. I go, okay, well, I put it under this price. I'll double the inspection period, and then I'll come in with a contractor or even a friend of mine, and he just walk through. He's like, I go, the AC shot, the roof shot. Can you just say it out loud to him? And then right then I go, listen, I got to get out of the contract, or like we got to renegotiate this. You're going to
hmm
have to discount it no matter who you sell it to. So how do you want to do this? So sometimes I let somebody else break the bad news to them, but without an inspection, you have no room to do anything. And
yeah,
wholesaling really doesn't exist without an inspection period. It's
okay,
just the main reason we do it is because we mitigate the risk.
yeah,
So if somebody
um,
doesn't want to give you an inspection period, guys, especially if you're new to it, just run. It just they're setting you up. They're letting
okay,
you through the line, and there's a pulling tackle coming, and it's going to be problematic. So
yeah, yeah. He
I'm
was
not going to
definitely
take
trying to pressure me too, saying that he had a bunch of people calling him and offering him deals. So, yeah. My last question, which you guys, I'm almost positive you've made a video on. So if you
okay,
want to just refer me to that, I can do that. But the guy that I'm going to be meeting, the seller that I'm going to be meeting on Sunday, said that he still owes 4 grand on the house. Is
okay.
that going to be creative financing? I know, like I've seen a couple of y'all's videos
Is
on
it
that.
4 grand towards the mortgage, or what's it for?
He owes it to the bank, so yeah, I believe it's a mortgage, right?
Yeah, so you just got to factor it into the deal.
Okay,
The biggest thing is someone's behind. Like, remember, another 30 days, probably another payment's coming and another late
okay,
fee. So like time gets sensitive on it. So you can do a creative financing deal when like someone's, in my opinion, they got to be 6 months or less behind on payments because you can do the numbers. Okay, if it's payments 1,000 a month and he's 6 months behind, that's $6,000 just to catch the dang thing up. There comes a point where the numbers don't work because if the house needs fixing up, he's 6 months behind, and
mm-hmm,
the roof shot.
mm-hmm,
It can be challenging. So then you have to price it to where you can sell it to your cash buyer. That's okay. Taking all this stuff, the cash buyer is not going to care about the 4 grand. You just have to figure it in your pricing when you do it. But like if he's getting enough equity, most sellers are pretty sharp. They know what they owe, and they have an idea what they're going to walk away with. And you
mm-hmm,
got to try to meet that expectation. So, but if you talk about, guys, listen, the perfect creative financing deal, if you're ever going to do it, if someone's like a month to 3 months behind, it's a good clean house, it's in a good neighborhood, it's good to go, dude, the sky's the limit on those deals. Like you can
okay,
get away with murder on them. And I don't mean that in a negative thing is sometimes they don't want anything. Sometimes they just want a few $1,000s. You make up the back payments. They've got to be 100% cooperative because you're going to be working for the next year or two to straighten out all the paperwork because that's what it takes when you do a subject to.
mm-hmm,
And then you can rent the house out, you can resell it, you can get an assignment fee. The money is in the financing when you get those deals, even if there's no equity in it, because I can get someone to pay me $15,000 to $20,000 premium because they don't have to qualify for a bank. So you just got to do the math. And the rule to the creative financing, I do it differently than most people. My life's not committed to creative financing. I like it, but remember, you don't know how much money you make till the end of creative financing. And that's what people like. A lot of people come back to a horror story if the property's not taken care of or the person doesn't make the payments, is whatever you put out in monies, you try to double back on your return. So if I had to pay $5,000 to get the mortgage right and maybe paint it, like just do a paint the front door or something like that, then I got to get 10 grand for whoever's going to take over that situation. And if you do those numbers, you can never get in trouble, in my opinion, in creative financing. Now, if you have a big war chest about it and it's not your money, you don't care about it, sky's the limit. I see people out there suggesting putting $30,000, $40,000 down on owner financing, creative financing deal. I'm like, you're going to have to wait 5 to 10 years to find out if you made any money. So
Okay.
everybody's a little bit different. They do it, but in the beginning, you don't have that money, so you don't want to be in a negative. So if you do that and you go, well, Rick, how am I going to make up the mortgage payments? You're not going to make them up. You're going to go find a buyer, get that money, and use that money towards it. So many people get caught up like, how am I going to pay for this? Like, I don't have the money for it. Guys, it's not your money at the end of the day. You're just locating deep discounted deals and matching up people that really appreciate your services you do. So if they're 3 months or less behind payment, you have that option to do that. Because think about this. If you had to traditionally close on it and go get a hard money lender or like go get a bank loan, you're getting it for free there. So you just come up with a difference. Or you could go get a private money investor and go, listen, if you give me $5,000, if you give me 24 months, I'll double your money. Like I used to do crazy stuff when I started. And then I would go out and I would make 30, 40 grand in like 2 years. And then I would give him 5 plus the additional 5. He's like, that's the greatest thing he ever did for me. I didn't have to do a damn thing. So just protect your investors. That's the key, guys. You have to take care of them, whatever you promise. In the beginning, I made much more steep promises to investors because they didn't know what I was capable of. So I couldn't pay 5 or 10%. Like I had to go, listen, give me 5 grand and 2 years back, I'll give you 10.
Okay.
But I was making such insane profit, I could do that. But that's the only way they would believe in me.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, cool.
So it's, if there's low payments and the house is in a good spot and you don't have to fix it up, where I don't like creative financing and I don't agree how others do it, when the house needs massive amount of fixing up, 6 months behind, dude, cash that pig out, move on, man. Like they're bad deals. Okay. Because keep in mind, if you do it that way, you don't have to go out. You don't have to get a loan. Like you can control that property for the rest of your life if you want. It's amazing what you can do with it. But remember, the key with any type of creative financing, particularly the subject to, the seller has to be 100% cooperative and you got to kind of be like their last resort. Otherwise it doesn't work. So is that a cat in your lap there?
Yeah, I just accidentally stepped on him. So I had to pick him up real quick.
What's his name?
His name's Mac, like mac and cheese.
Yeah. My daughter has a cat and I'm not really familiar with cats. And we've had them for a couple of years, but it's a her and everything's on her terms. Like she'll let you know. And so most of my family's out of town, so I'm taking care of the cat. And it's like cat does they do some crazy stuff at night, man.
Yeah, no. Girl cats are feisty.
Oh my God. Like I had to, my cat knows how to open her cat knows how to open the door. So she takes a running start, grabs the handle and hangs. I'm like, I'm getting ready to reach for something. I'm like, oh my God, the cat's stalking me. The dog's freaked out. I'm just like, man, this cat's crazy. And she just wanted me to feed her. And I'm just like, holy crap. So I'm learning with cats. They're interesting. So
I appreciate it.
Okay, but I think I've solved your money problem. Like you guys got to stop worrying about money because you're going to get it from your end buyers. So like that's the least of your problems, I'm going to tell you. So you're in a good market. Just keep doing what you're doing. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Awesome.